Yeah, we'll be doing a live video, man. How are you?
I'm okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, let me just introduce you to a man right here. It's 9 p.m. in Australia, 7 a.m. in Montreal. 10-time multiple Muay Thai champion, current bellator competitor, John Wayne Parr. Thank you for talking to us this morning and tonight in Australia.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is cool. It's nice to chat the other side of the world.
Oh man, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So many questions. First of all, huge fan. You're one of the biggest pioneers for Muay Thai fighters, and the fact that you're still competing, it's pretty crazy. The fact that you have a total of 129 plus fights, and you're still at it. What's keeping you? What's keeping you at this stage, at this pinnacle?
Money. I really like money.
Don't we all?
I couldn't think of a better occupation than punching bases for a living, so I don't want to stop.
Oh man, that's the best thing. You know, fighting is just one of the greatest things on a planet. I think it's one of the greatest ways to express yourself mentally and physically. So, you know, why not do something you love? Let's talk about Bellator right now. You're currently signed to Bellator Kickboxing. Am I correct?
Yes.
And your last fight, honestly, was, for me being a fan of yours, I was like, okay, what's gonna happen here? Is he gonna be sloppy? Is he gonna try to come accustomed with the new version of kickboxing? And man, did you come in with flying colors, head kick, knockout when the round is about to end? How does it feel now that, you know, coming to the age that you're in now, still knocking out guys and still being relevant?
No, it's awesome. I haven't really stopped. And then I don't really think about my age either, because I'm constantly sparring with young guys. I'm running with the young guys. It's just, I don't know I'm old until someone asks me how old I am, and then I realise, oh shit, that's right, I'm 41. if no one asked, I wouldn't even notice, because I'm so busy being active. And it's so much fun too. I really love what I do for a living. I couldn't think of a better lifestyle than getting up early in the morning, running along the beach, hitting pads, staying fit, eating healthy, and hanging out with my crew too. I've got a good bunch of boys in the gym, so it's fun.
Oh man, it must be amazing, especially in Australia. How's the weather? How's the weather down there, by the way? Is it hot? Is it nice?
It's spring, so it's almost going to be. It's almost come to summertime. It's going to get crazy very soon. So at the moment, it's about 25, 26. And then very soon it's going to be 30, 35. So then it's terrible. And then it's hard to train because it's so hot.
Man, that's just insane. So let's talk about Bellator. Is there...
Our winter only gets to, if our bare minimum, it might get to 10 degrees at night time. And at daytime it's still like 20, 22. So I live in a very nice part of Australia where it's always good weather. So very, very spoiled.
Oh well, if it was up to me, trust me, I'm in Australia right now, where winter is coming over here to Montreal. It's a little nerve-wracking, to be honest. Not excited at all about the snow here in Montreal. Have you ever been to Montreal?
Yes, I trained George for about 4 years ago. I was there for a week. I did 3 weeks in Ottawa, and I did a 10-day seminar tour. So I travelled all around Canada, and then on my spare day, before I came home to Australia, the guy that brought me out here was like, oh, what do you want to do to kill some time? So I have no idea. He goes, would you like to go and meet George St. Pierre? I said, I'd love to meet George St. Pierre. So they rang Faraz, and Faraz like, yeah, if John Wayne wants to come down. Funny enough, tomorrow is Muay Thai sparring day. Would like to jump in and do some sparring. And it's like, yeah, I'd love that opportunity. So we went down, got to meet George. We put our shin pads and gloves on. I did a couple rounds with George. I did a round with Rory McDonald. I sparred a couple of the guys. Took some photos. We said goodbye. And then a few months later, Faraz rang me out of the blue and said, hey mate, you remember me? It's Faraz from Montreal, from TriStar. I'm sitting here beside George. we're just wondering, is there any chance would you like to come back to Montreal and train George personally for 2 weeks? I was like, no way. He's like, yeah, for sure. He was really impressed with the spar that you guys had a few months ago. So it'd just be you and George. You wouldn't have to do seminars, wouldn't have to do classes. Just look after George for the whole time. This was 10 weeks before he fought Johnny Hendricks. So yeah, it was amazing. It was such a buzz hanging out with GSP and seeing his lifestyle and seeing how famous he is in real life. It's so crazy. I've never met anyone so famous in my life.
Well, going back, it was 4 years ago. Johnny Hendricks was his last fight. Tomorrow, GSP fights Michael Bisping for the world middleweight title. You trained with GSP, and I know it's been 4 years ago, but that's the latest time frame that anyone has trained with George St. Pierre. In your opinion, how fresh do you think George is for the fight, and what is your assessment on the fight for tomorrow?
It's going to be very tough, because not only is Bisping big, but Bisping's got very good striking. At the same token, George has very good wrestling and ground and pound. So it's a very, very tough fight if Bisping can keep it on his feet. And at the same time, it's also very difficult to keep Bisping on the ground for a certain number of minutes as well. It's hard to ground and pound him. He's very good at getting back to his feet. So it makes it an exciting fight because it's hard to tell who's going to win this one. It's a good fight.
It's an intriguing fight, 100%. The fact that GSP hasn't fought in 4 years, Michael Bisping the champion, his streak it just tells itself. He beat Anderson Silva, Luke Rockhold, Nat Henderson, now going against the welterweight king. When you were sparring GSP, GSP is pretty much a sponge. A lot of people helped him with training. Joe Rogan helped him with the spinning back kick. He a couple of times went to Albuquerque, trained with Jackson Wink. When you sparred with him, what were the techniques, if you could say, that you kind of helped improve in his striking game, since that you are the Muay Thai king?
I was trying to say, because he was fighting Johnny Hendricks. Hendricks was a southpaw, so our main goal was working on 5 or 6 different things that just your basic orthodox versus southpaw sort of style. So lots of right kicks, lots of right punches. Moving away to the left, staying away from Johnny Hendricks' power shots. So it was very, very basic. There wasn't much advanced. And then it was more so getting George out of that karate, snappy front kick, snappy punch. More trying to Muay Thai base, where it's more power based. So I was only with him for 2 weeks, so I could only do so much. And then he still had 10 weeks to go by the time I left to go back to Australia. And in that time, he just went back to his old ways again. And I think if I had stayed with him, he would have had a lot easier fight against Johnny Hendricks. I think that he fought the wrong game plan. He got hit a lot more than he should have. Mm-hmm. And then from what I see on the social media, it looks like George has gone back to a karate style in the lead up to this fight, which I think could be detrimental against someone with Bisping's credentials. It's going to be tough because Bisping hits hard, and he's a good striker. So the last thing George wants to do is stand there and trade, and I think Bisping will have the edge.
Yeah, you know what, you're 100% right. If GSP tries to, he has Freddie Roach, obviously one of the legends in boxing, helping him with his striking. But I don't think it's that simple when you just hire a coach like that, especially a striking coach like that. I think you need more aspects in MMA. You need that Muay Thai, you need the boxing, kickboxing.
A boxing coach is not going to help a Muay Thai guy, and a boxing coach is not going to help an MMA guy, because it's completely different. Even a boxing coach in Muay Thai, it doesn't work. You need a Muay Thai trainer if you're going to do MMA, because MMA, Muay Thai is the closest thing to MMA striking. Boxing is completely chalk and cheese. It's completely different. Even though Freddie Roach is the man when it comes to boxing, it's not a boxing fight. It's an MMA fight. So it's completely crazy. But I'm wishing George good luck. I hope he does really well. But he's crazy if he thinks he's going to outbox Bisping. And then a good kicker will always be a good puncher anyway. So you're better off working and staying long. Your long legs are going to be get you out of danger than short punches.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's dive in more into Muay Thai. I'm a former fighter myself, kickboxer. And, always wanted to go into the Muay Thai. Leg injuries, were in the way. But your style in Muay Thai is actually quite interesting. Watching a couple of your fights. We'll get into later with TJ Cody, because I know you want to talk about the TJ Cody fight since you did beat TJ's head coach. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll discuss a bit about that. But your style in Muay Thai is pretty interesting because you have a power jab. Now, everybody kind of forget about, the jab is the lead up to hooks, uppercuts, try to disguise with some head kicks. But for you, you have that power jab that could potentially rattle your opponents. And example for your last Bellator fight, that's where the head kick popped up. For most of your fights, that power jab kind of made your opponent just, see different colors, and then you would strike. What is your style? You're very loose in your front leg, power jab, and your kicks just come lightning fast. What could you say your style of Muay Thai is?
I was very lucky to go and live in Thailand for 5 years. So I believe from my waist down, I'm Thai. And then in 2001, I retired from Muay Thai and I professionally boxed for a year and a half. I had 13 pro boxing fights for 10 wins, 10 knockouts. My 3 losses were all over 12 rounds in championship fights. So when I came back to Muay Thai again, I blended my boxing skills with my Muay Thai skills, and then just sort of gone from there. And then I have this game plan where I believe intimidation wins fights. So being aggressive, doesn't matter if it's boxing or if it's Muay Thai, I found that with both sports, aggression, nobody likes pressure. So if I can be smart and aggressive and break people's spirit to want to fight me back. In the first round, I'll see people that are giving me the stink eye. They give me the eye. They're staring me down. They want to be brave. And in the second round, I can see that their body language is starting to change. And by the third round, I can see that I've totally got them, because 1, they can't hit me, and 2, every time they do try to hit me, I counter them. So, and then I usually 9 times out of 10, I have them on the back foot on the ropes. And it gets to the stage where they're completely exhausted, constantly getting hit, and it gets to the stage where they just want to give up, and they're looking for a way out. They'll either give up on their stool, or I'll take away their fight and drive from their spirit. So that's my ultimate game plan.
Well, you're completely right. Trying that aggressive style, it's I think there's a switch in everybody's mind when it's either when someone's aggressive, they come in the pocket, or they flee. Most men flee, and the real fighters will come and bang in the pocket. And your style to me, and I think that's why you're getting there mainstream. I don't know if you know it, John, but mainstream, you're getting there, and it's because of that style of yours. It's so unorthodox, and it's just you're playing with fire, and you could probably elaborate on that. When you play with fire, sometimes you get burned. And there's some rumors, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're kind of also the king of stitches. What's your story? What's your story with these stitches? I'm hearing numbers. I don't wanna say anything. Please tell me how many stitches you had in your career, and how's that? How's that going out for you?
Yeah, that's something I'm not proud of, but so far in 130 fights, I've had 330 stitches in my face.
Oof.
So now I tell the doctors every time I go in to get put together again, I tell the doctors I need either sets of 5, whether it be 5, 10, 15, or 20, just so I can keep a track of my tally. If they mess me up with a 3 or a 7, it totally makes my OCD go crazy. So if I can get a 25 or a 30 or a 10, and just keeps things simple. So another thing with my fight style too, so I train in the gym, so every single shot is a power shot, whether it be a jab or hook, a body rip, and I want to flow power shot to power shot. So I don't believe in wasting time and tippy tapping, because on the ring I'm going to be fighting as hard as possible. So my theory is if I throw 6 punches or a combination of 6 different things, I want to make sure everyone's 100% powered up, because I don't know which one's going to land. I might go miss, land on the 4th, or miss, land on the 6th. So, and then if I hit with a tippy tap, there might not be an opportunity for the opportunity to come again, and I've wasted it. So if I train in the gym as hard as possible, so I hit him every time. So when I fight on the ring, my body knows no different. It only knows one speed and one power, and that's to hurt people as hard as I can.
Yeah, and looking back on it, your latest Instagram post, you're doing some roundhouse kick challenge. You're doing about 30. So that speed, you're not just preaching it, you're showing it. So that your roundhouse kick,
60 kicks in 30 seconds. So double kicks each side for 30 seconds, 60 kicks.
So tell and there's something that also I like about your kicks. I'm coming back from a karate kickboxing style while you're a Muay Thai, and I think the differential about it is that some kickboxers when they go higher to the body, they kind of try to disguise it with boxing, which is the essence of kickboxing. It's trying to hide your boxing with kicks, hiding your kicks with boxing. And with kickboxing, you're trying to go over, you're trying to move around like you're dipping a spoon in an ice cream kind of thing. Whereas your kicks, it's kind of just rocket, it's full pin power, boom, and quicker than light itself. When you connect on these roundhouse kicks, a lot of times you try and hit with the shin, mostly with the shin, because you don't want to go in later with the foot. But when you're like aiming that roundhouse kick and you're shooting it without disguising any punches, how often do you try to snipe in your kicks in your training? What are the key practices that you use to help snipe out that kick?
Probably the power jab. The power jab, or just my 1-2s, or I want to try and flow. No matter if I throw a straight, a hook, an uppercut, a body rip, I still want to have my balance, so I can. If I go left jab, I want to power up right. I want to go left jab, power up left. So either way, no matter what punch I throw, I want to be able to kick on either side from it. I don't want to favor any one side. I want to be. I want to be a complete and utter destruction.
Well, that's the name.
My ultimate game plan. So I want to try and kick your biceps as hard and as often as I can to wear down your arms. So it gets to the stage where you can't hold your hands up. And once your hands start getting fatigued, and then I can come over the top with punches and try and take you out with my hand.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much how you're supposed to go. And like I said, I think your style of the power jab. I think, like I said, that we were talking about before. I think a lot of people forget about the jab and the real essence of it. It's more, people are looking at it as more as a tap and then setting up big shots. While you're, like you said, it's one speed. And when you're going one speed, your opponent is always thinking, is always second guessing. So going to my next question is,
just before you change, even if your hands are up, I want to try and power through your guard. So even if you block it, I'm still trying to knock you backwards, so you're off balance. So it's hard for you to block my kick. That's going to follow up straight after as well. So if I push you off and you can't block properly, and then as I kick, and then it's hard for you to check. And if you do check, you're off balance, so you can't counter. That's the ultimate plan too. Well, and then if you're getting hit with my jab and you're thinking, holy shit, I don't want to get hit by his right hand. If that's his jab, the last thing I want to do is get hit by his right hand. So yeah, it definitely makes people second guess themselves.
Well, that's kind of the whole point, and that's what I love about that technique, and I hope to utilize that, because, like I said, a lot of people should be. And I think if people get nervous, like you said, like you're going in while they're blocking, you're still hitting it in, you're still putting that punch in. Where a lot of people, when they see that, when they see blocking, they kind of reassess, think back, and you're just breaking down the wall, and it's effective. It's 100% effective.
Definitely.
So let's go with this. There's so many stats. You look on the internet, and being a big fan of you, you're 41 years old, like you said. But John, there has to be something you're not telling us, man. You are super active. You're fighting constantly, and how is your body adjusting to this? Like for example, in 2016, you fought a total of 4 times. 4 times in 2016, twice so far in 2017. Are you looking for another fight to end for the calendar year?
Yeah, I'd love to have. My ultimate goal is to have 6 fights a year. I'd like to fight every 2 months. That'd be perfect in the perfect world. So this year I have my 3rd fight coming up, which to me is my quietest year in so long. I like being busy. And then as soon as I have a fight, I like to have a week off and then straight back in the gym again. So you keep that fight fitness. Nothing worse than being around, getting lazy, and then trying to kickstart your health. Whereas you're constantly in the gym, constantly got something to aim for. You just stay strong. You stay lean. You stay sharp. I don't like big breaks. The most fights I had in a year is 9 fights.
Ooh.
And then there was one time when was it? I think it was 2004. I had 5 fights in a month. So I fought in an 8-man tournament at Rajamanand Stadium in Thailand, and then 2 weeks later I flew to Italy, and then I won that one as well. And then 10 days later I fought in Japan, and then that's when I fought Dwayne Ludwig and beat Dwayne. So I had 5 fights for 5 wins. And then didn't have a single scratch on me. I was perfect. So that was my ultimate. That was my greatest month ever.
Well, it looks like it. And while you're talking about the Dwayne, I'm actually showing audience where we're gonna take a look about this later. We're actually showing the fight of you and Dwayne. So that like I said, that was one of the great fights. And now the whole the whole world will be seeing just your style against Dwayne. And Dwayne is a type of guy who now obviously he's TJ's head coach. He is a smart guy. His knowledge and his commitment, obsession in MMA is just outstanding. You gotta give the guy props. He trained a world champion. That's amazing. You beat him down. So if you could beat down the head coach, what could you tell Cody No Love to beat down TJ? Because TJ has some aspects of Dwayne. The way his style, his IQ is based on Bang. So what if you could talk to Cody and help him out any way possible? What would be your advice to beat Team Bang?
Yeah, I think Dillashaw is a completely different fighter than Dwayne. I think Dillashaw he has a more Dominic Cruz style of fighting compared to Dwayne's straight up Muay Thai skills. Completely different contrast where Dillashaw likes to switch hit. He likes to change angles. He likes to cut angles. He likes to be elusive. Whereas Dwayne was more my style, more Muay Thai. So I think that's just he's evolved a lot with the sport as the sport's been getting momentum. So which is a good thing too. So it's gonna be a tough fight. I think Dillashaw has the angles and the off-putting style, whereas Cody is going to be more power-based. I think if Cody lands, it's going to be a good night because he seems like a very power hitter, but at the same time, he's got to hit him. So that's the hard part. It's going to be good. It's going to be the old line versus the new line. It's going to be a fun fight. I'm more excited about that fight than the main with George.
Well, I've been telling people when people have been asking me about 217, everyone's asking me to come and break down a fight. People are asking me where am I watching. People are asking me am I excited for it. And I always tell them too. I'm like, the Bisping and GSP fight is cool. I'm from Montreal. GSP's a Montreal boy. I'm obviously gonna support him. But he's been gone. He's been off the grid. For 4 years. Bisping has been fighting. Once maybe twice a year if healthy and active. But Cody and TJ, that's an amazing fight where you have an unbeaten guy climbing up. He's the champion. He beat probably the most dominant bantamweight champion we've ever seen, and now he's going against TJ. And I don't know if you saw, Cody actually posted a video on Instagram yesterday of him and TJ used to train, and him knocking him out. How do you feel about that?
And then you got Dominic Cruz that beat Dillashaw, and then Cody beating Dominic Cruz. So it's and it's sort of weird too when A beats B and B beats C, but then C beats A. It's one of those weird ones. It's you never really tell with fighting. You never know what's gonna get. It's too hard to predict.
It's MMA mad.
Comeback sports man. But it's a good fight. I'm really excited for this one. When TJ's on, he looks amazing. And if Cody lands, Cody knocks people out. So it's going to be great. It's going to be very edge of the seat stuff. And plus, it's got the perfect storyline too, with Dillashaw leaving the gym and the animosity between the two guys and the Ultimate Fighter stuff with Conor McGregor calling TJ a snake in the grass. Yeah, there's so much storyline just in that fight alone. That fight could sell the show itself without all the other undercards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Have you ever fought a guy that you used to train with? Has there been that situation ever in your career?
Well, I've trained with no. I fought a lot of my friends, and then every one of my friends that I fought, I knocked out.
You're a great friend, John. Hopefully me and you won't get into that situation.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like at the weigh-in, it's like, oh man, it sucks, we're gonna fight, but at the same time, I'm gonna knock you out, and then I usually do.
Well, don't you find when you spar or even fight a friend, your friendship becomes a little bit better after because of any sort of animosity or anything attached, or any negative emotion attached to it is gone. You guys fought, you guys brought it out. Didn't you find your friendship out a little bit better?
Yeah, I think once you fight someone, you always have that bond with them forever. You've stood there for 5 rounds or 3 rounds or whatever it is, and you've shared a moment in time that you can't replicate in normal situations. And then once that final buzzer goes, from that moment on, even with people I don't like, I still have that bond with them that I'll never be able to erase.
No, it's that's just the beauty of combat sport. That's the beauty thing about martial arts, is that you might be fighting an enemy, a friend, but it's that feeling that you're talking about. It's that once in a lifetime moment that you guys are in there for. It doesn't matter how many rounds, 3, 5, 10. That moment you guys share of just the work of training camp, everything building up into this battle of 2 warriors going in, trading with each other, and in some crazy way you guys are connecting your souls together, knowing that one man is gonna win, one man is gonna take the other man's pride, work ethic. It's a crazy thing, and I don't think a lot of people can handle it. And look at you. You've been fighting for X amount of years, and you're still doing it. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it. If you love it, you can do it forever.
Yeah, for sure. It's sort of weird too, because even if they're your friends at the same time for that next 10 weeks when you're training camp, they're your enemy. So you're constantly thinking about how you're going to destroy that person. And that could be a good friend too, but at the same time, it's either him or you. And my legacy doesn't have time to let you win. I have to smash you if I want to become great. It's only there. I can't let friendship get in the way of my destiny.
No, that's a champion's mentality, and coming from you, for people wanting to be champions, you gotta listen to you, because if I go through the list of titles you won, that would probably be the equivalent of just the time of you and I talking, because this is remarkable, John. This is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I've spoken with with many fighters. I've spoken with the world champion Stipe Miocic, and looking at this resume, you can get any job you want. If you were in the work office, like in that field, you give this resume, you can get any job you want. You could, you know, go down the list. WKA World Middleweight Champion, WKBF K1 Middleweight Champion, WKA Thai Boxing World Middleweight Champion, WKN Thai Boxing Champion, 2009 Line Fight Super Welterweight Title Contender, International Kickboxer Magazine Champion, WMC Thai Boxing Middleweight World Champion, K1. The list goes on. How are you so humble? Because like talking to you now, you know, you're just a regular guy, you know, but the platform you are and the platform that you set out for these young guys, you made Muay Thai, you know, not only made it cool, but made it, you know, just a way of life. You made a lot of people, you paved the way for Muay Thai fighters and also MMA guys. You know, MMA fighters who want to learn Muay Thai, they look at your style. How do you feel about that? How do you stay so humble?
Living in Thailand for so long definitely helps keep you grounded. Living in a third world country, living in a Thai boxing camp especially, where you have absolutely nothing, and then you need to fight to survive. It's not like you got a second job. Muay Thai is the #1 sport, so you wake up in the morning, you train for 3 hours, you have a shower, you have breakfast, you have a little sleep during the day. You wake up in the afternoon, you get ready at 3 o'clock, you're back out in the street, you're training for another 3.5 hours. You have shower, you have dinner, you might have a play with the fellas, the fighters in the gym for an hour or so, then you have your sleep, and then next day you do it all again. It's a full-time job to become a fighter, and you're fighting, for back then, I was fighting for $1,000, and I have to give my camp 50% of that as well. So the system was, I'd train for free, I'd live at the camp for free, I'd eat for free, but every time I fought, I'd give the camp 50%, and that's how it worked. And it was in their best incentives to try and make me as strong as I can, and with as much technique as I can, so the more fights that I won, the more fights that they would receive out of my 50% prize money. Yeah, it was really cool. It was amazing. And then, you know, I know there's no point me pretending to be I'm the best in the world, because I know there's 50 Thais out there waiting in line to smash me. So when I'm winning, I feel good, but I'm not going to be overconfident and say stuff that I'm going to regret later if I come against some beast. And at the end of the day, it's just a sport. I do my best. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But as long as I know that I've put in 100% effort and I've fought the best that I could, if I get beat by the better guy in the day, let's say if I put my head on the pillow knowing, all right, you might have beat me today, but I'll train harder, and I bet you next time that I'm going to beat you. So, and that's the beauty, like you said before, it's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful art.
So going back to it, you know, you've been fighting for, you know, X amount of years since 92 to say the least. You know, you like I said, your style, you go into the fire, which, you know, it made you successful. That's your style. Since you're so hard, and like you said, you have one speed, you have one gear, and it's the high gear throughout the whole fight. How many times do you spar? Because, you know, a lot of fighters now, for example, like Cowboy Cerrone, these guys are not sparring. You know, Robbie Lawler, they actually quit sparring and took it out of their training camps. How do you feel about sparring? What is your take about that?
About 4 weeks before my fight, I'll box spar twice a week, and then on Saturdays we do our Muay Thai sparring. But when we only spar possibly maybe 30 to 40%. We don't try and kill each other. But when I box spar, I box about 80 to 90%. So, I like boxing. I had 13 career boxing fights. I really enjoy using my hands. But with my Muay Thai stuff, we keep it about 30 to 40, just because there's no point in me smashing your legs in with leg kicks. Otherwise, you're going to be so sore, you're not going to be able to train the next day. And it's about longevity. Being with Thais for so long, they don't even wear shin pads when they spar. They're so controlled. So I can kick you at 5% power, but you know that my shins landed across your ribs. I don't have to kick you hard for you to know that I landed my kick. So yeah, longevity. I don't want brain damage, and I want to try and fight as long as I possible. So it's all about having sharp, fast technique and being able to pull your kicks and pull your punches, so that you can live another day. Yeah.
Well, there's also that factor of who you're sparring with, right? It's who you're training with and who you're sparring with, because you don't want to have a new guy, you know, trying to come up, like a guy saying, oh, there's John, all right, I'm gonna make a name out of myself, because you have those guys that come in the gym try and get a name out of themselves, especially you, if they would knock you down in the gym, they will get that recognition. So do you specifically, take, do you have guys that you trust sparring, or do you just take anybody?
Yeah, I'll take anybody. I spar with my friends, of course, the main guys that are my usual guys. But then if I still got energy in the tank, I'm happy to spar everyone in the gym. And then everyone gets a buzz too. Okay, I did a round with one of the young guys, and just to let them know at the same time, I'm not going hard, but I can completely dominate someone. So every time they throw a kick, I can check and counter. They go to throw a punch, I'm out of range, and I'm coming straight back again. And just let them know that the standard that I'm hoping for them to achieve, if they can't hit me in 3 minutes, and then it's like, oh shit, I've got to really knuckle down if I want to try and be at this level one day. So, just like I did when I was growing up, I'd spar the older guys, and then I couldn't touch them. And then that was my main drive, is to one day be good enough that I could do it to other people. And now that's what I've been doing, so it's fun. And then people get a kick out of it as well. It's like, oh, thank you so much for the spar, that was cool. And no one got hurt, no one's got a blood nose, no one's got a black eye, it was just fun. So the main idea is to have fun. If you're not having fun, you're in the wrong sport. When I see these guys from Holland trying to knock each other out in the gym, what's the point of getting brain damage in a gym with no prize money, no fanfare, no TV, no recognition? It's just two guys smashing each other, and then for what? Whereas if I'm going to save my body and save my brain for on the ring, I'm going to go 100% on the ring, and then then it's worth it. At least if I do get hurt on the ring, at least I'm getting compensated with prize money. I don't want to do it in the gym for free. Bugger that.
No, like, you're 100% right. I think that's the difference between gym fighters and professional fighters. A lot of guys will give their all in the gym, but then when it comes fight day, they kind of freeze, they kind of choke. Whereas others, they'll actually learn in sparring, they'll learn in training camp, and when the fight comes, everything just falls in beautifully. It's like it's like drawing a picture. You have the right stroke, the right colors, and when it comes out, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I have a good thing in my gym where everyone knows the system. If a guy comes in out of the blue and wants to spar and wants to go hard, it only takes one round. I might be a nice guy, but at the same time, if you're trying to go hard on me, I might give you the first kick. It's like, okay, maybe that was an accident. The second kick, maybe that was. But if it's 3 kicks in a row and he wants to go hard, I'm not intimidated to go hard back. And it's pretty funny how people learn respect very after one round.
Oh, well, especially the way that you fight, and watching your fights, you just and it's crazy the style that you have, because your style would be effective to a lot of different fighters in MMA. And another question to ask, why have you never done the switch? Why haven't you tried MMA? Why has that never been in your vision?
I'm a fan of the sport. I really enjoy spending my Sundays, because when UFCs are on, it's Sunday afternoon here. It's Sunday lunchtime in the UFC, so it's always barbecue time. I like watching, and I've tried a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but I've been doing Muay Thai since I was 13 years old, and I've been in Thailand, and Muay Thai is my passion. I don't as much as I like watching it. I don't like training jiu-jitsu. I don't like being in between some dude's legs for an hour at a time. I don't like balls in my face. I don't like punch in my face. Call me old-fashioned, but I like punching people in the face much better.
Well, no one likes balls in the face, John. I'm gonna tell you that much. No one likes balls in the face. You know, depending what team you're on, you know, it's what it is. But if you know, a lot of fighters, like another one too. You know, Joanna's fighting tomorrow. She has that style of Muay Thai, but she's never on the ground. She just has an amazing, you know, she defends the takedowns and the wrestling so well that all her fights are striking. Have you ever thought about just, you know, if you structured your style to always make it a stand-up war, that you could still be successful?
That's why I invented my cage Muay Thai show. So it's you know CMT?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's full Thai rules from the first fight to the last fight in a cage with MMA gloves on. So the crowd, from the time the fight starts, they know exactly what they're getting. And as soon as you go to the ground, you stop, you stand back up, and you start striking again. And then as a spectator, it's the ultimate spectator sport too, because no one's going on the ground. Everyone can see the whole time they're fighting, and you're guaranteed violence. There's no stalling. It's just if you're on the fence for more than 5 seconds with no action, the referee steps in, breaks them up, and then you go again. So I get my cage thrill through my CMT event. I don't have to do MMA to get that cage buzz. I got it on my own show. Okay,
so your buzz, you're settled with that. You have the atmosphere and you have just the striking. So for you, that's just paradise.
And we've got the MMA gloves on as well, so it's very real. It's very violent compared to the normal Muay Thai in the ring. It's crazy. Plus, like I said, the jiu-jitsu. Again, I appreciate it, but I'm being so spoiled to do striking my whole career. And I'm so busy with fights that I can't really afford to take 12 months off to learn the ground, to get to an elite level, to try and compete with these guys in the UFC, because they're so good already. And I'm making okay money. I'm making enough money that I can pay off a house, pay off my gym. I own both my house and my gym and a few cars and a Harley, so I'm not struggling. I don't have to be Conor McGregor. Fame doesn't, money doesn't interest me as much as my legacy. If I can have anything, I want to be known as a Muay Thai great. I don't want to be known as a half MMA guy.
No, 100%. And John, since that Instagram video, you know, just it inspired me, man. I'm telling you, man. You're 41. And I talked to a couple old dudes, you know, no disrespect to the old people, not old, but more experienced. You're 41 years old, you're fighting, you're in phenomenal shape. So for everyone in their 40s saying that, you know, when I was younger, I was in this shape, that's no excuse. Looking at you, you're still there. You're still considered a prime, which is completely just it's something different. You know, when you're 30, 31, 32, that's prime age of combat. You're 41, and John, man, you're on a crazy win streak. You're on a 5-fight win streak. You know, you're still going. What's the trick? What are you doing that's different? Like, is your diet, your lifestyle? Is it the fact that you're training multiple times a day?
I think from the moment I could walk. From my earliest remembering, all I wanted to do was be a martial artist. I've had no other distractions. I didn't get sidetracked with football or anything else. All I wanted to do was a martial artist. I didn't know what martial art. I just wanted to know. I wanted to fight. And then when I was 11, I found a taekwondo school. I did taekwondo for about a year and a half. And then the taekwondo school couldn't afford their rent, so they had to move out. And then just so happened, kickboxing started 6 months later. I fell in love with kickboxing, and then that's been my ultimate drive ever since. I love fighting. And I don't really want to fight. I want to entertain. So it's about half fighting and half putting on a fight. When I said this about a couple years ago. So let's say there's 10 fights in the card, and I'm in the middle. My ultimate goal is when everyone's leaving the venue, everyone's talking about my fight. I don't care about the main event. I want everyone to leave going, main event was okay, but holy shit, how was that John Wayne Parr? That fight was crazy. That guy didn't stop throwing. So I want to not just be a fighter, but I want to be an entertainer. And the ultimate goal is the legacy. I know, just like everyone else, you only have a certain time on this planet. And I want to be like Raymond Decker, so when I pass, that my legacy lives on forever.
Well, you're on that path, man. You're on that path, and I'm telling you, not just because I'm a massive fan, you know. And today sparks a great moment in my life, because the fact that I could now say that, you know, John Wayne Parr is a friend of mine. That's just that's just a life goal for me. But to say that, like I said, you know, I have multiple black belts, karate, kickboxing. I've done taekwondo. And I've become, you know, a true fan of MMA. I respect all aspects, and I never really watched any Muay Thai fights. I learned, I know about it. I've thrown elbows, knees correctly. I don't know. I have to, you know, get some high level coaches. But you're one of the first guys that really truly inspired me. And like you said, it was your style. And you know, I've watched many of your fights. I still watch a lot of your fights, and I try to, you know, utilize that in training. Like I said, that power jab to me is it's the smallest things. It's the smallest things and techniques that could just it's a game changer. Just like, you know, you have Dominic Cruz in his movement. You have Cody Garbrandt, Nate Diaz, when he give you that slap just to point precision that right hand. That power jab is just it's mind blowing, really. And I know for Muay Thai, it's more like everybody kind of knows it. It's kind of when you start it, it's kind of the first techniques you go and just drilling it more. But yeah, like I say, your style and your left roundhouse kick from, you know, the lead leg, just bang, it pops up, man. It's just, I'm telling you, man, you're true inspiration, and just thank you for teaching me and millions of other people.
Hey, no, thank you. It's fun that people send me messages daily, and people that I've never met or ever heard of, or from different countries. You get a private message saying, "Thank you so much." I even got one today saying, "I'm a former ice and meth addict, but 2 years ago, I watched your videos and you inspired me to just get straight and get in the gym and start training. And now I've had so many fights, and you've changed my life forever." So to inspire people is the ultimate compliment. I feel like I've done something right. If I can be an ambassador for not just Muay Thai, but just martial arts, I just want people getting out of the house and getting in the gyms and training. I think if all kids were mandatory to do martial arts at school of some form, not the fight, but I think training is almost like not only physical but mental. It helps you bring you to a happier place, knowing that whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve. So even if you might punch into your waist height for the first few weeks, and then in a few months' time, all of a sudden you're throwing head kicks without losing balance. It blows people's minds that whatever they put their mind to, they can achieve. And then every day, once you start achieving things, you want to get better and you want to start pushing your boundaries. And then you have a goal in life too. So instead of just being, okay, how many bombs can I take today? It's like, how many rounds on the pads can I do instead? And be healthy and smart and clear and be self-driven. And you can take that same martial art mindset into the business world as well, and know whatever you want to achieve in business, you can achieve if you just a bit of hard work.
No, you're 100% right, and I think martial arts is one of the greatest ways to do it. You know, when you know, a lot of people will do different workouts, you know, soccer, hockey, football, and that's completely fine. You know, I'm not against any other sport, and I won't talk bad about any other sport, but you know, for me, you know, I've been doing it since I was 5. You know, I've been doing it for, you know, many years. You've been doing it for countless of years, and it's different. I think when you talk to another fighter, your conversation really is more more mellow, more down to earth, because what's more real than fighting someone? It's one of the most true aspect about just human nature. When you constantly fight someone physically and using every single limb, every part of your body, energy, and then after it, you guys just shake hands. It's truly magical. It's a truly magical thing that, if anyone wants to try get in shape, or if somebody wants to try something to better their life, you have to go with martial arts. You have to go with Muay Thai, kickboxing, karate, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever works for you. It's crazy.
It's one of the most primal things that humans are meant to be doing. You go to the football and a fight breaks out, people lose their shit. It's at the basketball game and a fight breaks out, people go crazy. If you go to the fights, you're seeing fights. You're seeing two guys that are trained for it too. All they've thought about for the last 10 weeks is what they're going to do to that other person, and hopefully they can pull it off. And then I think what's helped me as most is the lifestyle I live in Thailand. Like, I slept on a wooden floor for 4 years. I didn't have a hot shower. I had there was like a bar full of water, and we'd have a plastic tub, and we'd stand on the outside of the tub. We'd have to splash ourselves on. You soak the lather up, and then we have to splash the soap off our bodies. And I had to pour in a hole for 4 years with no toilet paper. I'd have to pour water into my hand to wipe my bottom. And then every meal we'd have to sit on the floor with our legs crossed, eating our plates of our rice. So that keeps you humble. When you're sleeping on a floor for 4 years, you come back to Australia, you got a bed, you got hot water, you got air conditioning and fans. When you live primal as possible, that makes you hungry. You want to get out of that. You want to achieve greatness so you can have money to have food. So that's the ultimate drive. Once everything's taken away and you've been stripped of all your luxuries, it's a big factor in the wanting to be great. When fighting's all you have, it's amazing what it does to your mindset to become somebody.
No, you're 100% right, and I say it all the time, and like I said, that's why when two fighters, or two people training and fighting, we completely understand each other, and when you try to convince someone who's never done it, it's kind of a harder conversation. The fact that you're trying to convince them that this is the norm, where they see it as either human, cockfighting, they see it as a brutality, I talk to a lot of people, and no disrespect to them, but they say they understand fighting, they say they understand the drive, but they've never done it. And understanding and doing are two completely different things.
Oh, for sure.
So that's why, like I said, like you're an inspiration to me, and the fact that today is one of, it's one of the great days for me. The fact that I'm talking to a guy who inspired me. I'm talking to an idol of mine, and just for you're like you said, paving the wave, and you're still doing it. You're still doing it, and that's the crazy about it. And the thing that's even crazier is that you're still doing it, but you're probably more successful now. Like I said, you're on a winning streak. And you're finding the groove, you're hitting your stride, and there's a lot of guys who they reach this age and they go on a losing streak, but they're still fighting. Like Anderson Silva is one of my, growing up was one of my favorite fighters, but now he's hitting a losing streak. There's a suspension. They don't know when to call it quits. For you, you're just you're aging gracefully and you're getting better. It's unheard of. There's only a handful of guys in boxing and in kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA that just they're still good, and like you said, it's that will of yours. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, I moved to Thailand in 1996 when I was 19, and then by the time I was 20, I was already fighting at Lumpini Stadium, fighting Thais with 200-300 fights, fighting on Thai TV. I was lucky to make I was the first Westerner ever to be on the front cover of the National Thai Boxing magazine. Fighting on the King's birthday in front of crowds, 100,000 people at the age of 20. Yeah, so for me, this is my life. I don't want to retire because I'm afraid of the real world, of having to maybe one day get a real job. Yeah, fuck that. I like doing what I'm doing. I don't want to be that guy that's mowing grasses and putting bricks in houses. I quite like my violent tendencies of trying to beat people up. It's much cooler. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a lifestyle.
It's crazy. You can have all the money in the world, but you'll never understand what a fighter does. And they